Hey guys, this is John, your host on Mgtow is Freedom. Men going their own way. It's changing the world. Little pieces. One set of testicles at a time. Yeah, the world's an interesting place, and the way it's working, the way the social structure works, it's interesting to see that a men's movement, whatever you want to call it, a social change is growing out of this Mgtow concept. And it is the answer to feminism, but it's not the opposite of feminism. You see, men aren't into destroying women, they're into being left the fuck alone. So, this video is rather interesting. I've had it in my head for a while, and I want to start with a quote by Marilyn Monroe. And she's quoted as saying, "A wise girl kisses, but does not love, listens, but does not believe, and leaves before she is left." Now that sounds like a meme, right? And it's used in memes. In fact, I'll use it as the thumbnail for the video. Right? Marilyn Monroe. A wise girl kisses, but doesn't love, listens, but doesn't believe, and leaves before she is left. What does that sound like to you? Right? Now, she was back in third wave feminism, right? Or maybe she was its precursor. She was stepping it up, right? Before there was free love, Marilyn was fucking everybody, right? So I got this concept in my head of what Marilyn Monroe was sold to me as. And then I have a second concept, which is, what is the true Marilyn Monroe? I have a picture of her, a little 8x11 on my wall. It's to the left of my vanity in my master bedroom / bathroom in my fifth wheel. And it's just a nice picture of her leaning against a wall somewhere in Europe, it looks like. She's beautiful, but it's a reminder to me of the deadliness of that beauty. Marilyn Monroe's an icon who's been dead over 50 years. Dead over 50 years. And she's still one of the most alluring, beautiful, right, romantic visions of what a woman should be. Right? To me, to men everywhere, to women everywhere, to girls. And they don't really understand what it is Marilyn was trying to do or what she did, and they certainly don't understand what the fuck happened to her. Right? It's thought that she committed suicide. Right? But let's talk about Marilyn Monroe and what she did from a couple of different aspects, and then we can examine that as Mgtow, as men going our own way, to understand what it is, right? What she did. Like I said, we're going to start with sex. She came out before the free love hippie fucking movement, right? Before the birth control pill. She is a sex symbol. She is the sex symbol. Let's talk about how she used that. She used her beauty and her personal charm to get herself in front of men, and then to get men to take her home. Now, I'm going to talk about the most powerful men that she did that to. John F. Kennedy, the president, and Robert Kennedy, the attorney general, brother of the president. She was fucking them both. And she had to be warned to go away. And having to be warned to go away is different than just her ability to get into the sack. I'm only talking about her manipulative ability here. Marilyn Monroe could get in bed with anybody because of her beauty, because she was so seductive, right? The reason that politicians and people of power are supposed to keep women like Marilyn Monroe away is because they can be compromised, they can be blackmailed and extorted because of the sexual act, right? Being filmed having sex with someone other than your wife, especially when you're the fucking president, right, is a bad thing. Now, she did it. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Right? Crazy. In front of the world, seducing the president. And he was banging on that probably within 20 minutes. Right? And crazy. Just fucking crazy how she's able to do that. Now, that's the powerful men she was fucking. Let's talk about another kind of power. In her life, she got in with Sinatra and the Rat Pack. She was synonymous with that group, synonymous with that type of power, that just on the shady dark side. And yeah, she got pulled in to being used as a tool by the mafia, right? Namely Sam Giancana. Okay, there's a big tie there between Sam, Peter Lofton, John F. Kennedy, the whole deal back there before Kennedy's assassination. Marilyn Monroe was being fucked, literally, by the mob. They were passing her around, using her as a party favor. Now, is that a nice thing? No, not really. But that's the way it happened. She put herself in the situation. She held herself out in that situation. Right? She sold herself as a sex object, and then she was used as one. But she was so seductive, so powerful that way, that she ended up getting into the mob. Right? She pulled herself in that direction. Now, let's take a look at what Marilyn was doing. She was trying to manipulate men. And she got used for it. Because what a woman does, how they manipulate, is by the use of sex. And so she got in with very powerful men. Phew, done, right? But let's look at how, right, where her mistake was. She wasn't looking to get married. Now, she did marry Joe DiMaggio, famous baseball player. Joe kicked ass. But he was out of his fucking league when it came to manipulation. She sucked Joe in, married Joe. No kids, right? Ended up leaving Joe, and even after her death, Joe was the one who took care of her, funeral arrangements, buried her, and everything. Joe was a hell of a man. Some might say, wow, he kind of white-knighted. He loved her. This is the power of her manipulation, right? He loved her, but guess what? She didn't fucking love him. It says right here, a wise girl kisses but doesn't love, listens but doesn't believe, and leaves before she is left. All three of those apply to Joe DiMaggio. She kissed him, but she didn't love the fucking guy. Not the way he loved her. Listens but doesn't believe, and leaves before she is left. Right? She left Joe. You know, it's fucking horrible. You know, what this woman did and who she was. You know, on the one hand, she is sold as this goddess type figure. But she really is a tramp of tramp and a whore of whores. So I have these mixed feelings. What is it about Marilyn? What can we understand as men today? Well, she's just actually just a beautiful woman. There's millions of beautiful women out there everywhere. You can just look at them and they're beautiful. There's something special, though, about Marilyn. Right? She knew how to behave and how to act like, right, a woman. In public, in front of the camera, at dinner, while she was with men, you know, that we know of. Right? She had the look. It always looks like she's taking a giant cock. She's just, you know, she's got that fucking look. She gives men the look, what I call the look, right? She does that. And it manipulates, it controls, it brings men under her charm and her spells, right? She vexes men. But she doesn't love. She doesn't believe anything. And she leaves before she's left. She is the role model for feminists today. If you put Marilyn Monroe out there, she would still be the ultimate today. There's no one that's better at her at looking amazing and then using men for what she wants. I think I want to approach the next way to talk about Marilyn. from her death. Right? Her death is a mystery. There was problems with JFK, and RFK was supposedly, Robert Kennedy, in LA at the time. Like, he had just visited her just a couple hours before. She was whacked out of her fucking mind on drugs. So there's a lot of conspiracy ideas. Was she poisoned with a needle? Was it a drugged enema that killed her? Right? Marilyn Monroe, let's just assume for the purposes of discussion, committed suicide. What doesn't matter, that she was depressed. That's all that matters. Mentally depressed. Right? She's living alone in a house with a housekeeper. She's constantly popping pills. She's fucking miserable, in other words. She's absolutely miserable because all she has done is use people, use men, powerful men. And then she didn't like how she was being treated. You see, she wanted to be a free woman. She wanted to be a strong, independent woman. She wanted to say, I'm very certain I don't need a man. All the same exact bullshit we hear today. A wise girl kisses but doesn't love, listens but doesn't believe, and leaves before she is left. Let's think about that. How happy did that make her? Right? She married DiMaggio and left him before he could leave her. Where the fuck did she get that idea? I'm going to leave someone before they leave me. That is one of the dumbest fucking things I've ever heard come out of women's mouths. Is I'm going to dump him first. What makes you fucking think he's going to dump you? Well, he's going to hurt me. Really? You're going to go into the whole thing with that fucking attitude? Listens but doesn't believe. Well, that's basically, she's saying, pretend like she's listening. Right? Pretend like she believes, but not really. You know, it's when you, it sounds so cute and smart when you read this, but it fucking pisses me off.